We got more spoilers and intros or so 2024, so we're just going to dive right into them. If you guys enjoy the video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Click the bell icon if you want to be notified when new videos are posted. I prefer to use Scryfall when I can because it just overall looks a lot better than these other spoiler sites. However, they don't have the most recent stuff updated yet, so we're just going to go ahead and dive into it. There have been a ton of Innistrad Remastered spoilers over the past 2 days since I made my first video, and I'm not going to spend time going through all of the commons and uncommons. However, I did just want to make note that they are continuously updating the card image gallery, so there's a lot of stuff there you can check out if you want to see a full breakdown of that. But there have been some awesome announcements and reprints following that first video that we did, and I just want to kind of go over some of them and talk about it, give my thoughts. So Tireless Tracker is finally getting a cool alternate art variant. I think that's awesome. I don't think it'll end up being too expensive either because it's, it's a good card and it sees some play, but it does have, I want to say it has a special guest in too. But this is the first time at least that it's getting any kind of borderless in just like a regular set, as part of the set. And it looks really nice. So I'm happy to see a card like this. Hopefully, for those of you who want to have the option to out, Tireless Tracker is always a card that will be in demand in some capacity. So I'm never going to complain reprints for it, even if it is like, I don't know, 2 or 3 or what have you. It's one of those cards that people all. HBR Horror is another card that's definitely a welcome reprint here. It did get a reprint in the Fallout Universes Beyond set, but the artwork was Fallout, and if you're not a fan of that, which, like, it wasn't bad per se, I like, generally speaking, the more fantasy-based art in most cases. Obviously, there's some exceptions to that. HBR Horror is an awesome card, and this artwork is sick. I think it would have been amazing as a movie poster variant, but I think that's only for Mythic, so I guess that's just kind of the nature of it. Unless that's not the case. I don't know. The breakdown that Wizards put on their site did seem to indicate that it was going to be that we're getting, or at least that they would be in rare. But HBR Horror getting a reprint here, not only as a really, really nice borderless, but also with retro frame and a regular print. Good reprint, good inclusion, and just a solid card in general. I will be picking a copy of this variant here once that comes out. Necro Duality is also here. This card's extremely good, and it was from Crimson Vow, I think. Definitely one of the best zombie cards for like zombie kindred decks. It's getting a retro frame as well as a regular frame reprint, which is awesome. Crimson Vow and Midnight Hunt to a lesser extent, neither one were incredible sets, but they did have some cool cards. And the ones that were pretty good in those sets did end up going up in price over time just because people didn't really want to buy into the sets all that much. There wasn't a ton of value there, so this is a good reprint for a card that I think just, was steadily rising, but over time without a reprint would have probably continued to rise. But generally speaking, if you're a zombie player, a zombie fan, you're going to be eating good in this set. There's some good variants and some good reprints too. Cultivator Colossus, this artwork is amazing. I don't know the artist specifically. Nils Ham. What I mean by that is I've never heard of that artist, so I don't know if they've drawn other stuff. But this artwork is awesome. It really kind of captures like a huge monstrous feel for Cultivator Colossus. Another good card. Wasn't crazy expensive, but wasn't what I would call like budget friendly either in most cases. So this is a pretty good reprint. It will also be in here in just a regular, art, and I think as well a retro frame. So couple different variants you can get of Cultivator Colossus, but I think this is definitely the premium one. Just looks great, and for a card that is, especially in Commander, applicable in various strategies, it's nice to see him included here. TriofPredition. I forgot this card even existed, but it did have some decent value. Pretty good reprint here as well. I think it's more of a niche card that probably is going to be played like in something specific versus like, being splashed in everything, but for a card like that, I'm happy to see rares included in the set that'll actually be like rares you wouldn't hate pulling. I don't know if the value of this will stay all that high because of the fact that now it's going to be a bit more accessible, but we'll see. Reprints often in Magic can go one of two ways, depending on the card's popularity. It's either going to be, it'll dip and then it goes back up, or it just bottoms out because there's no longer like a scarcity of it on the market. And I mean, TriofPredition is one of those cards that I think could easily go either way. Speaking of zombies, Rooftop Storm getting some absolutely badass artwork here. A really good card. Basically, you pay 0 to pay the mana cost for zombies instead of paying cost. Part of really good strategies with cards like Gravecrawler and different like infinite combos you can pull off very, very easily in zombie decks. But as a whole, this is a cool card, and I think it's nice to see it getting another borderless treatment here. I think this is really a zombie friendly. I mean, which makes sense given Innistrad, right? But it's really a zombie-friendly set for a lot of new cards, and if you're somebody like me who likes to upgrade your stuff from time to time, you are going to have a lot of opportunities here, which I think is good. Shandra, Dress to Kill. This is one of the better Chandras we've gotten in recent years. This was in Crimson Vow and was very good in Standard for a while before rotating out, but in general, also just a decent Planeswalker for Chandra at period. Was like a $15-20 card, give or take, and so really good inclusion here. Doesn't look like she's getting any kind of borderless or alternate variants, at least not that we've seen so far, but that doesn't mean it couldn't come out in the coming days. Just an awesome card and a good reprint. Really have too much else to add on that. Now, when we're talking absolutely peak, Cathers Crusade, not only an extremely good card that typically tends to rise in price very consistently, the artwork here is amazing, and this is a movie poster variant, so this is where I'm a little confused, because Wizards in their article said that the movie poster variants would be mythics, or at least that some mythics would have movie poster variants. It would be only in collector boosters. I don't know if I misunderstood that. Feel free to clarify that if I'm wrong. I'm going to look again, too, just to kind of double check. But either way, I'm not complaining about this. This card looks absolutely sick. Some amazing artwork for a card that is just so strong, especially in token spam decks and stuff. The ability of this card to just flip a game on its head pretty quickly, it shouldn't be understated. And it's just an awesome card. It's probably one of my favorite in terms of the artworks for the movie posters that we're getting up to this point. It just, yeah, I can't say enough good things about how cool it looks. Restoration Angel, decent card, not crazy value, I don't think, but nice little borderless variant here. I'm sure, I mean, the card does have its uses, so I'm never going to complain too much about a decently playable card. Getting a reprint with some alternate artwork. Wedding Announcement here, you guys might remember this card. Wedding Announcement is actually a pretty good card in Standard for quite a while in token decks and stuff, or just in general being able to buff stuff and get resources. It was a very good card that could turn your stuff into +1/+1 after it sort of resolved its draws and created tokens for you. Wasn't super expensive, I don't think, but it's still pretty good for a reprint. So I just did a quick check price-wise. It's down a lot from where it was when it was legal in Standard, but I still think it's a decent card that, like, if it ever does start to see play again in other areas, could go back up in price. So while it's not the most expensive reprint, it's definitely a solid here if you ask me. Temporal Mastery is another incredibly, I want to say niche card. It's not the best turn skip card we have, but it does have that miracle going for it. And we do have, especially in Commander, like a whole new deck that supports miracles. So obviously really good to see a card like this get reprinted here. Last reprint it had prior to this was on the list, and then before that going back to like Modern Masters 2017. So it's been a while. I think a $10+ card. I do think there'll be some interest in this. Elective Brutality is another card getting a reprint here. That card on its own is okay. Only about 80 cents, but it did have a while since it's had any reprints. It was in a Secret Lair, and then it was in Elder. So I don't know. Cards that are decent like that, I guess it's always solid to get a copy of it, reprinted at some point, so that if something does come out that breaks it, it doesn't spike in price and become impossible to get. It's not a bad card necessarily. It does have a really sick artwork here for its borderless variant, which I think is really cool. So that'll probably be the one to go after. I don't think either copy will be all that expensive, but still worth noting that it is in here. A couple of other quick notes I wanted to just touch on. Laboratory Maniac is a card that's getting a upgrade, quote unquote, here. Card's really fucking annoying to play against, but it's also really good and is an alternate, alt win condition. So cool to see that. I do like that they give the uncommon and commons, borderless treatments in these sets, because it does add a bit of intrigue to your pack, even if you whiff on a rare. Couple other quick ones I just wanted to touch on as we're on Conjurer's Closet, a decent reprint here. We saw the movie poster stuff previously. What I was actually looking for as I'm sitting here scrolling, this Grizzlebrand got announced yesterday too. This is a crazy cool artwork here for Grizzlebrand. Obviously banned in Commander, but definitely usable in Modern and in some other formats. Just in all across the board, one of the coolest freaking artworks that I've seen for a card in quite some time. I don't know what its value will look like, but we got Avacyn as well. I did cover Avacyn getting a reprint, but it is getting a movie poster as well. Very popular card and very cool artwork here. There are going to be some good chasers in this product, I think, without being, aggressive, like super aggressively expensive, across the board. And there is also a borderless, which I guess isn't here, which is unfortunate. Olivia Voldaren, amazing freaking artwork here on this. Genuinely so cool. And there's just so many cards in the set that are like solid reprints, but the artwork here is where they're crushing it. I honestly think this is one of the best remastered sets up to this point. They did announce the land cycle of basically all of them will be included in here, and some of these were starting to go up a lot. So this is a really good sort of foundational piece for the product, because these rares are always going to be solid pulls, especially for dual lands. And I think whenever you have a good rare land cycle included in a set, it does a lot for the set over time and just, you know, solid in terms of when you're opening product. I don't know if these are going to have any borderless variants or anything like that. It would be super cool if they had retro frame variants for these, but so far nothing has been leaked showing that, so I really don't know. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at so far. I'll do another video recapping any other spoiler announcements that come out tomorrow or Saturday. With, you know, with this set being all reprints, there's not, you know, a ton to sit here and delve into, you know, my deep thoughts on every card included here, where like we would with new cards, but I do think the set's actually going to be really fun. I hope it's affordable-ish. I think, you know, there's a lot to like about it, and I think in terms of the remaster sets, like I said, there's a lot of good cards in here, even in the common and uncommon slots, whereas in maybe the past couple, you know, there were definitely some good rares, obviously the Shockline, Cyclonic Rift and Ravnica, and then you had, you know, Force of Will and the Tutors in Dominaria, but the rest of it was kind of mid, and I think this kind of is better in that regard, at least, you know, in terms of the choices of cards they've chosen to include, and the chase factor, plus Edgar's in here. There's a lot to look forward to, so let me know what you guys think so far. Do you agree with me that this is probably the best of the 3 remastered sets so far? What are you looking forward to? What are you disappointed by? Maybe you don't like the movie posters. Either way, sound off in the comments down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.